Okay, hello everyone. It's Philip Lee returning with another episode of Civil War Chat. Today is the 26th of April. It's a Tuesday, 2022. Our topic today is the Fireside Defenders, and it's a little story here that for those of you that have a Confederate leaning, will take a little shine to because it involves a might have been at the Battle of Gettysburg. So before we get there, I want to point out The Confederacy at Flood Tide is another book, and this is my book. Philip Lee has written on the uh, point when the Confederacy was most likely to win its independence, the 6 months from June of 1862 to December of 1862, the Confederacy at Flood Tide. There's a hardcover copy here available. You can get it autographed for $39. If you want just a regular hard copy, I think it's $35 at Amazon. If you want a soft cover copy, it's $28 at Amazon, but it would be $32 if you want an autographed copy from me, and I will cover postage for both the hardcover and the soft cover. To get the autographed copy, email me, Phil, PHIL_Lee, LEIGH at me.com. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Fireside Defenders. On the 11th day of August, 1861, my great-grandfather joined the 22nd Georgia Infantry Regiment in Rome, Georgia. Although his unit was officially designated Company G, its members knew it by the nickname the Fireside Defenders. The name is significant, right? If slavery was important to the soldiers in that regiment, they could have chosen the moniker like the slave drivers, or excuse me, the company. The Company G could have been known as the slave drivers instead of the Fireside Defenders. If racial superiority had dominated their thinking, they could have nicknamed the Company G the White Supremacists. And likewise, if hatred of Northerners was their prominent motivation, they could have chosen a name like the Yankee Killers, but they didn't. They chose the Fireside Defenders as their moniker because defending their homeland from invaders was their chief motivation for marching off to war. Nothing could be more obvious. They chose that name on August 11th, 1861, less than 5 months before the war started. After the war started, only shortly after the first Battle of Bull Run. Okay, they could have chosen another name. But in 1861, many Americans, North and South, put their loyalty first to their state and only secondarily to a remote central government whose powers were enumerated in a 1789 Constitution, undeniably designed to limit those powers. This limitation on powers was something that was not only understood in the South, but also the North, even after the Civil War. When President Grant tried to further centralize the central powers, the powers in the central government, the voters in the North rebelled. And that's why he turned his back on the blacks in the South. So the Fireside Defenders was chosen because that's what these soldiers wanted to do, defend the home and hearth. Thus, historian William C. Jack Davis echoes Company G's members when he writes, quote, "The widespread Northern myth that the Confederates went to the battlefield to perpetuate slavery is just that, a myth. Their letters and diaries in the tens of thousands reveal again and again that they fought and died because their southern homeland was invaded and their natural instinct was to protect their home and hearth." Close quote. Company G marched off to Virginia, where it joined an army that would be commanded by Robert E. Lee from June 1st, 1862 to April 9th, 1865, when it was surrendered. Lee named it the Army of Northern Virginia because he wanted its soldiers to realize he did not intend that it would retreat. No commander on either side of the Civil War was more beloved by his troops than was Lee. He led by example because he knew that men would not follow a leader whom they did not respect. and they would respect someone who shared their hardships. Consequently, he did share those hardships. Unlike Union General Grant, for example, who is being praised all over the internet today because it's his 200th birthday, Lee normally slept in a tent like his men, whereas Grant, oh, the great and mighty General Grant, he would usually commandeer the home of a nearby plantation owner as his headquarters. Presently, the 22nd Georgia Infantry may be best remembered as one of the 4 regiment in General Wright's brigade that temporarily pierced the Union defensive line on Cemetery Ridge on the 2nd day of the Battle of Gettysburg. They had to withdraw due to lack of support from the brigades ordered to defend General Wright's right and left flanks. Their success was at a point near the so-called copse of trees that became the objective for Pickett's charge the next day, which was the last day of the battle. Here's how author Clifford Doughty described Wright's attack in his book, Death of a Nation. Quote, Wright led his Georgians nearly a mile across the broken ground of the valley and stormed up the Union slope. He was directly opposite Lee's command post and under the eye of the watchful old man. Lee saw Wright's Georgians drive a Federal line from a stone wall at the crest of Cemetery Ridge and, all alone, tried to hold their position in the enemy's center. Yet unused brigades of Anderson's division, which was part of Hill's Corps and not Longstreet's, were available to support Wright, and Wright's men seemed to be solidifying their hold on the center of the Union line. Even as they rushed forward, Perry's little brigade on the Georgians' right fell back under pressure of counterattacks. Now, Wright could have faced at least one of his 4 regiments in that direction to protect that right flank, but simultaneously on his left, another body of Federal reinforcements appeared out of the dusk. This was late in the day. A 4th brigade of Anderson's had been ordered up on Wright's left to cover that flank, but it was nowhere in sight. Threatened with encirclement, a very bitter General Wright could only order his Georgians to withdraw. When commenting on his decision to attack the center of the Union line on the next day and the last day with Pickett's charge, Lee remarked that the Confederate flank attacks of the preceding 2 days had likely forced the enemy to strengthen his flanks, and he would therefore be weak in the center. His reasoning was logical. In fact, that's precisely what happened a few months later at the Battle of Chattanooga, when Confederate General Bragg's center was the defense line, but it was too weak to repulse a Union assault up Missionary Ridge on the Confederate center. Nonetheless, at Gettysburg, of course, we know on the next day, the center was too strong for Pickett's men, and even though they tried to pierce the line again, exactly where Wright's Georgians had done it the day before, Pickett's charge failed. Okay, so that's what I want to talk about. That's our message for today. But again, remind you, if you want some good news on the Confederate side of the story, consider buying my book, The Confederacy at Flood Tide by Philip Lee. And it's Amazon, Barnes & Noble, wherever you want to get it. If you like it, please do, however, give us 5 stars at Amazon. It really helps us out. And if you want to help preserve Confederate heritage, let's join together and do that by supporting one another and spreading and disseminating information that will enable people to understand why Confederate monuments and Confederate heritage and Southern heritage should be honored and respected. Okay, that's our show for today. Thanks for watching.